Hey there, it's Kelly from Kelly's Astrology here, and I'm back with the next installment in our Aspect of the Week video series. We're looking at the week starting Monday, April 26th, so the last week of April. It is full moon in Scorpio week, although that's not the aspect I want to talk to you about this week, but I did want to mention it because it is happening this week. The aspect that I want to talk about is happening very close to the end of the month on Thursday, the 29th. That was the theme with April's aspect of the week. Choices is they all seem to be happening on a Thursday, a little bit random. So the aspect I'm looking at is Mercury in Taurus, sextile Neptune in Pisces. This aspect is happening on Thursday, the 29th. From 22 Taurus, where Mercury will be, across to 22 Pisces, where Neptune is going to be. This aspect is happening on Thursday, the 29th, if you're in Canada and the US. It's happening on Friday, the 30th, if you're in Australia. And if you're physically in Europe, it's going to be happening overnight from Thursday into Friday morning. So we've got that kind of lovely theme at the end of the month. What I like about Mercury sextile Neptune as an aspect is that it's an aspect about imagination. The mind is kind of invited to soften and to explore and to wonder and to roam, so that the mind is not stuck in rigid or real world patterns of thinking when it interacts with Neptune. Now, sometimes that takes the mind off on tangents and into a place of fantasy and fairy tale. So we do have a tiny bit of caution about getting lost in something that maybe doesn't have substance or doesn't have the potential for following through or being made manifest. But because it's a kind of a gentle aspect, it's a sextile, not a square or an opposition, for instance. And also because Mercury in Taurus has this very grounded, practical quality, there's something very nourishing, I think, in this aspect. I always think about a planet in Taurus in aspect to a planet in Pisces, or a planet in Taurus in aspect to a planet in Cancer, those earth water signs, as being very nourishing. So this idea of receiving the water, of having nourishing kind of sweet water come your way, or being able to tap into that. I know it's kind of a far out concept, maybe very relevant for Mercury sextile Neptune, but it's the idea of the mind being nourished by something that is non-linear and not fact-based or not data-based. Now, not to say that we want to get swept up in fake news. That's not where this is going. Mercury, Neptune, it is more, particularly with Mercury in Taurus, which is a sign ruled by Venus, and Pisces is a sign where Venus is exalted. It's more about getting swept up in artistic output and creative inspiration. So feeling that that kind of softening where we're not like, oh, I have to do this thing in this way. We're more like, what if I create this thing in that way instead? So having this sort of fluid or flexible quality to perhaps how you're approaching things, how you're mulling things over, so that you're really trying to get a sense of something from a holistic, looking at it from all perspectives point of view. So definitely not wanting to go into the fake news side of things. Definitely wanting to keep our feet on the ground with Mercury in Taurus, but craving that sense of feeling something. So whether we're going to feel this in our heart or with our hands, we want to be able to be moved by either a mood or a feeling, or by something that is tactile. So there's this quality here of the mind, but also the hands. These are both Mercury things. And there being an evocative, feeling, felt quality. So I think Mercury sextile Neptune would be wonderful for healing, like massage therapy or reflexology, having that sort of, or even Reiki, where there is some elements of touch and some elements of energy exchange. It may or may not be safe given your current location and the status with everything going on with the pandemic. So of course, make choices that are safe. But thinking about that idea of healing through the body and how there is an interaction between what happens in the body and what we experience in the mind, so that when we calm the body, perhaps our imagination is opened or unleashed. Sometimes calming the body looks like sticking your feet in a warm bucket of water and giving yourself an at-home foot bath, or having a bath, or spending some time in the shower, oil rubs on the skin. There's lots of ways you can kind of self-massage and things like that. You can bring yourself back into your body without the touch of another, although that's lovely if that's safe, I guess, to just putting the options out there. The other qualities or I guess experiences in addition to art and creativity as general concepts, the two very specific things that are Mercury, Neptune are poetry and music. So poetry is like a fluid type of evocative use of words. It's not data analysis. It's not the report that your bookkeeper or your accountant sends you at the end of the quarter or at the end of the tax year. Poetry is something that is, there's form and then there's a lack of form and there's feeling, but there's also hints at things. So there's subtleties to it as much as it can really grab you. And of course, music is so personal, but one of the things it does is it moves our mood. So it really impacts on our emotional level as much as our mental level. So I think poetry and music are two things that you might gravitate towards or crave more around the 29th of April as Mercury interacts with Neptune. There's a wet quality to this Mercury-Neptune that the mind is asked to take in moisture. So what soothes your mind, what nourishes your mind, what helps your mind soften, what helps you be less rigid, less judgmental, maybe less kind of fixed focus in your determination, what allows you to accommodate the input of others or to be responsive to changes in circumstance. So these are some of the things to think about. There's a malleable quality to Mercury when it interacts with Neptune, and that can allow input or experience that we might otherwise be closed to or blind to. So we're taking in input that might be energetic, that might come from an intuitive source. So you might be trusting your instinct here with Mercury sextile Neptune. You might have a feeling that you want to follow or you want to explore, even if you're not sure where it's going to take you, or if you can't quite explain why it's important to do so. Sometimes with Mercury Neptune, it is very much about trusting that sort of gut instinct or that trusting your belly or, just really being in that, how does it feel in my body when I contemplate this choice or that option or this offer or this commitment, and let the wisdom of the body, kind of turn off the chattery mind so you can get that deeper wisdom to emerge. Mercury Neptune is not the most clear thinking. It's not super detailed. And so if you have any, more dry type of decisions to handle or documents to process, maybe there is something to do with accountants or, tax stuff, depending on, when the tax season is for you. Maybe you've got some official forms that you need to fill out. And so maybe don't do those on Thursday when Mercury sextiles Neptune. You can save them. Just give Mercury a few days and he'll actually be changing signs into Gemini where he'll be, able to spot those communication errors a mile away. So Mercury Neptune, maybe not the best for decisions or attention to detail style work, but certainly it's very good for expressing emotion, like finding the words to talk about a feeling that you've been in the throes of, but maybe you haven't quite got to that place of speaking about it. There's a lot of compassion that comes out with Mercury, Neptune, which can make us more considerate, more understanding, more flexible, sometimes even more forgiving. So it is definitely bringing in a lot of those feeling words, coming from a softer place, and maybe being open to things being a little bit messy or not perfectly organized and scheduled, because we're making space for that very human experience and those human responses that come up from time to time. So at a very simple level, Mercury Neptune's a great day to talk about your feelings. Lovely day to have any kind of healing or therapeutic encounter, whether it's talk-based therapy like counseling or something more in the whatever way is safe for you with your current situation. But Mercury Neptune, we want to make time for our mind to wander, to have some imagination, to go off on tangents mentally. What if, or what might happen, or could this, don't be sort of locked into what reality or practicality might be letting you know, just you don't have to act on the wild fantasies in your mind right now, but sometimes it is good to let the mind open just to make sure that we're on whatever track we're on for a holistic group of reasons rather than just it seemed like the most practical thing. So we want to bring a little bit more heart space, a little bit more feeling awareness into our experiences today. So I hope you have fun with that. I look forward to hearing how it shows up for you. Now, if you do like this type of info about the upcoming aspects of the day or week ahead, I'd invite you to pop over to my website, kellysastrology.com, where you can sign up for my monthly astrology guide subscription. There, I create exclusive content for members only, where you'll get access to interpretations about every aspect for each day and each week, so that you've got that monthly plan guided by the planets, by the astrology to help you time your life. So that's it from me for this week and for this month, team. I'll be back next month with more in our Aspect of the Week series. Until then, take care.